How's it going, guys? Welcome back. As promised, here's my next redstone tutorial on how to do a redstone shop. This one is one where you pay 1 diamond and get a stack each, and it's designed so that it can also handle multiple requests at a time. So you'll notice I've pressed the button 3 times, so that means I should get 3 stacks. But the amounts are customizable, so you can choose whatever amount you want. You could have 1 diamond gives you 8 each, you know? It doesn't have to be a stack. Now to start, just like the other one, we're going to be building a item sorter first. So you'll want to put a hopper into a block facing like that, and then you'll put a dropper on top, have it facing down, and you put 2 blocks above so you can have a button that activates the dropper. And then we're going to swing around the other side and put the andesite down. We're going to start with 3 down, or 3 across, 1 down, then 1 more down, and another one. And then you get your comparator, take it out of there, 2 redstone, 1 redstone down there, a repeater coming out of it, into a dust, and into a block with a torch on it, and a block above, just like that. Then you put the chest underneath, with a hopper leading into it, and then you just got to put the diamonds in to make the filter. Now we're going to go and put 2 droppers facing into each other so that we can keep track of how many times the person has pressed the button, just like that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put at least a stack into one of them. I put 9 stacks in. That's a little bit overkill, but as long as you have at least 1 stack in there, that should be fine. And then you take a comparator out of that, put it into a block, and then you just sort of make a snake of blocks. We put a repeater there, because we're going to do a 1 tick pulse. You got to actually put a piston there, and then you got to take a repeater out of that into another block, and into a redstone dot, like that. And now we're going to build the hopper timer. So you'll put a comparator going into that, and another comparator coming out of the other hopper. That will go into a redstone dot as well. And then you put 2 hoppers facing each other, and then you have pistons facing each other as well. Now you got to do 1 sticky piston and 1 regular piston, because that means that when you activate it, it'll only go for 1 cycle, because if you have them both sticky, it'll just keep on going. And now the number of items that you choose to put in there depends on how many times you want your dispensers to activate. I'm going to be building 8 dispensers, so I want each one of them to activate 8 times, so that makes 64. But it is fully customizable. You can choose whatever you want. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put a torch down and to invert the signal and do a 1 tick pulse. So we have a piston there, and we have a repeater leading out of that, and we're going to try and trail this over to the dropper, because we're going to, first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to activate the dropper, and then we're going to check to see if the dropper still has items in it. So you'll just trail the line around here, put a repeater into it, into the block beneath it. You don't want to put a repeater into it directly, because then you'll power the other one as well. You just want to power the block beneath it. And now what we want to do is we need to work on the AND gate, because what we want to do is we want to check to see if both this is on, which means that it is finished counting the first one, and there are still more to be checked. If either of them are false, then we won't keep on doing the cycle. We won't restart it again. And what you'll want to do here is you just want to make sure you don't cross the lines by putting blocks above it. See, it's connecting there. Put blocks above it like that. Try and prevent it from connecting. I accidentally sealed it off without watching. Later on I went and fixed it. But yeah. And to make the AND gate, you just connect these 2 torches together and have them both lead into another redstone torch. And what that'll mean is, in order for the redstone torch to turn off, both of them will need to be off. You'll also need to make sure that that's on 4 ticks, so that way you're checking the AND gates after you've tried to eject 1 item from the dropper. And now what you do is you just put a redstone repeater leading into a block with a torch leading into some redstone. Now the first thing you need to do is you need to swap that redstone for a repeater, because otherwise it won't actually power the thing. And now we're going to test it. I've put 2 items in there, and what you'll notice is that it won't stop, because as I mentioned earlier, I accidentally seal off the redstone leading to the dropper, which means that it won't fire, which means it'll keep on going as long as there are items in there, which will be forever. So what you'll want to do is you'll want to remove that block and put redstone below it. And then that will fix everything. It'll activate twice and then it'll stop. Now what we've got to do is we've got to build a comparator update detector right beside that hopper. And what that'll do is every time the hopper receives an item, it'll be updated. And so we've got to build a comparator there with a block in between a chest. And you put any item in the chest, it doesn't have to be any special item, just any old item. And you have the comparator leading into a block with a redstone dot on top of it and a piston coming out of it and a block on that. Now the neat thing about comparator update detectors is if you have a chest or something, or any container, every time you put an item in it, or even just click in it, it will update. So we're going to use that to fire all of our dispensers. So you take a 1-tick pulse out of that with a repeater, and a piston, a sticky piston, and a block on top of that, and another repeater leading out of it. And now you can just drag that redstone line to wherever you want your dispensers. I'm just going to be lazy and put it right there, but you could easily move them to somewhere else. At this stage the machine is basically already done. You just need to have an indication light and perhaps a way to fill it. You could do it manually. And I accidentally put the dropper on top of it. I meant to put it beside it because otherwise the hopper will take out of it. The idea is I wanted you to be able to press the button and send an item through one at a time, whereas this one just took the items out of it as it comes. Now I put 8 diamonds into the dropper, so we should expect to get 8 stacks back out. So we'll wait and see if that works. There we go, the machine's working, so now we can move on. I'm going to go put a few hoppers and chests on top, just so it's easier to refill. I'll still have to open multiple chests, but it'll be easier than opening every single one of them. So what you do is you mix regular chests and trapped chests, and that way you can put them side to side. And you want to raise your trapped chests a little bit, because otherwise they will power the droppers and you don't want to do that. Also, when you're filling your droppers, you need to make sure that you only put numbers divisible by however much you dispense at a time. Like for example, I'm dropping out 64 at a time, so I have to make sure that whatever amount I put in there, it is always divisible by 64. Now, assuming you put an equal amount of items in each dropper, you should be able to just measure the amount in one of them, and that'll tell you how many there are in all of them. Just like earlier, what you can do is you could take the comparator output from the hopper instead. That way you can be sure that there are items in there. Or you could do what I've shown here and put 2 dots in between, which means there'll always be a minimum of 42. I've also gone and added an ice path along here just to catch all the items. You might want to do the same. Depends how you've set up your droppers really. I just thought I'd do it because it looks a lot more interesting and makes it all in one place, which is a lot easier. And that's all I had to show you guys today. I guess I'll see you later.